brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my hands without an alibi. Smoking gun, you got me on the run. We know that will come. We're out up till dawn, but how can I hide it without an alibi? It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my hands. I can't wait no longer. I'm playing with the monsters. Everything that brought me alive. Oh, we're all like monsters, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my hands without an alibi. Getting lost in memories, the surface deeper. Want it all surrounding, feel it shining. Shining through. Getting lost in memories, the surface deeper.
And we are live. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my live stream. My name is Tyler Ramsby. So good to have you hanging out with me. And hey, just want to let you know right at the outset that we are live on 3 different platforms. So you're welcome to join on whatever platform works best for you. I am live right now on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitch. On LinkedIn and YouTube, if you just look for Tyler Ramsby, you should be able to find me. On Twitch, if you go to hacksmarter.live, it should redirect you to the Twitch page. So whatever platform you're on, thanks for hanging out. I am going to do my best to monitor the chat in all 3 platforms. So whatever platform, I will keep my eye on the chat, and we will make sure Everything is good. But yo, got my black hoodie on, got my hood up, ready to do some hacking. Don't know how long we will hang on. I've already done some coaching. Tuesdays are usually the day where I do some one-on-one coaching with people at a donate what you can rate. Doesn't cost them anything besides they can donate whatever they can to a nonprofit of their choice. So I've already been doing some work this evening, but thought, hey, let's jump on stream. Let's hang out together. Let's do some Try Hack Me. It's been a little bit since I guess I just did Try Hack Me because I released a room, but thought, hey, we'll do some Try Hack Me, hang out. Happy to answer any questions you might have as well about cybersecurity, pen testing, careers, IT, heck, life in general. Feel free to ask them in the comment section. And like I said before, do my best to keep my eye on the chat and answer those questions for you. Let me make sure everything is looking good, and it does. We have about 20 people on LinkedIn, 10 on YouTube, 30, 35, so close to 40 people right at the beginning across the 3 platforms at almost 10 o'clock at night. So thank you all for being like me and apparently having nothing better to do besides being at your computer and hacking stuff with me. So I'm actually going to start recording for YouTube. I know this is a little bit weird because you're here on the live stream, but when you join my live stream, it's kind of like you're the live TV audience. I always have some segments that are just for y'all who are joining me live, but then if you follow my YouTube channel, many of my videos come out of these live streams. I just start recording, we shoot a YouTube video, we stop, we shoot another one, and kind of work our way through some of the content. All right, and before I even go on YouTube, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. We have one over on YouTube. Creeway said, will learning how to configure networking devices help with pen testing? Absolutely. Learning how to build anything in IT will help with pen testing, and I think is a step that many pen testers overlook. You can break stuff a lot easier if you know how to build those things. So if you're a web developer, you really have a superpower if you become a web app pen tester, because you know some of those little misconfigurations that other developers know about, but non-developers don't often know about, and you can check those things. Same with network devices. A very clear example where this would be helpful is during an internal pen test. An internal pen test, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like an assume breach scenario. The client will give you VPN access to their internal environment, or you'll be on site in their internal environment. And one of the things I see often in those engagements is networking devices that are configured with default credentials. And then if you know how to configure network devices, you are able to use those network devices to maybe listen in on traffic, to get RCE on them, to pop into a Cisco shell, whatever that looks like. So the ability to configure that will be helpful when it comes to being a pen tester. Let me refresh LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn and you leave a comment and I don't see it right away, it's because LinkedIn makes me refresh it in order to see the chat, but I don't think I'm missing any chat there. All right, y'all, I'm going to start recording for YouTube, and I think we'll just do the brand new Try Hack Me room about Linux file system analysis. Haven't even looked at it myself. I did just start the machine so it would start, but I think it's a pretty easy room, maybe a fun one to go through together, and I'll try to provide some additional context from my experience as a pen tester as we do it. Let me start recording. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to go through the brand new room on Try Hack Me called Linux File System Analysis. Now, as usual, when I approach these rooms, I'm doing it from a black box perspective. What that means is I haven't even looked at the room. I went to it and I launched the machine just so the machine would launch. Haven't read any of the content, haven't looked over the room, so I'm going into it blind. So as we go through this, I'm going to give you my first reaction to everything, and I'll also try to give you some insight as someone who does pen testing for a living into some of these defenses. One of the best ways to break a defense is to know what the defense is. So let's look at how we can do system analysis and maybe think, how could we bypass the person analyzing our activity? So without any further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. And I will just say, this really cool person released a room called Hack Smarter Security. That was me. If you haven't done my room on Try Hack Me as a medium-rated Windows machine, check it out. I have a full walkthrough on my YouTube page that if you get stuck, you can go through there where I explain the full machine and some of the background. But today, let's do this brand new room called Linux System File Analysis. And first, I just want to give, if I had a hat on, hats off to the Try Hack Me team. Yo, I love this new look for the rooms. I first noticed it when I was looking at people who are submitting walkthroughs from the Hack Smarter Security room, but I just like it. It looks a lot cleaner. It looks a lot more just I don't know, new age 2024, fits 2024 better, doesn't feel as much like early 2000s. So yo, TryHackMe, love the new design on these rooms. So whoever is involved with that, kudos to you for that choice. I have a question over on YouTube. So Elisa, don't know how to say your name, but said, what do you think about Legolo NG? Like, have you find it replacing other tools for pivoting, or I'll still need to master the other tools as well? Yo, Legolo is amazing. Don't even know if I'm saying that right, but I used to use Chisel a lot. I've also done some SSH forwarding, but once I discovered Legolo, that's like all I use. I love how easy it is to set up and how it essentially functions like a VPN. But caveat, you should always know how to do something more than one way. What you will notice on either an exam or a real pen test is, I swear it never fails, that the tool you rely on the most is not going to work for some reason in that unique environment. And as a pen tester, as an ethical hacker, you have to be able to think on your feet and pivot quickly to a different tool or a different method of doing things. So you should never limit yourself to only one tool or one method. You should always learn how to do it more than one way. All right. If you're new to the way I do TryHackMe machines, like I shared before, I'm going through it for the first time myself, and I'm just sharing my learning, and we have a tendency to skim stuff, so I'm going to read it in its entirety. I will be your audiobook as we make our way through this room. We're not going to skim it. We're going to do our best to learn from the material. When you rush through TryHackMe, Hack the Box, Poem Labs, whatever your platform is, when you rush through it, you're only cheating yourself. So I always encourage people, slow down, read the material, and make sure you understand what's going on. All right, introduction. Performing live forensic file system analysis is often an early part of incident response and is crucial in assessing and determining potential security breaches. This process involves examining digital artifacts, system logs, users, and file structures to uncover evidence of unauthorized access, malicious activities, or data compromise. While drawing I can't say that word, y'all. Methodological comparisons to Windows forensic operations, Linux forensics and the Unix-based operating system also present unique challenges and opportunities for forensic analysts. Understanding common artifacts of Linux file systems, permissions, and log mechanisms, therefore, becomes vital to the timely detection and mitigation of security incidents. As we are only analyzing and identifying artifacts of compromise at this stage of the incident response, it's important to emphasize that it's generally unsafe to remediate the live compromised system for further use. Instead, securely restoring from backups and performing vulnerability management remediation activities, which is out of scope for this room, but TryHackMe has some great rooms that cover that, is essential for recovering and minimizing impact. So our objectives: number one, learn how to perform live file system analysis on a Linux system. Number two, understand common artifacts, log mechanisms, and file system activities in Linux forensics. And three, reconstruct an event timeline in a hands-on incident response scenario. So to tackle live Linux forensics, having a solid grasp of the Linux OS and system hardening concepts is recommended. All right, cool. Now, some story time. In my previous role before I became a pen tester, I did vulnerability management for a large bank, mainly Windows machines, but one of my jobs was overseeing all the Linux patching. So I used use Ansible, if my memory serves me correct, to do some basic Linux patching. So I do have some Linux sysadmin experience, but I will say it is quite minimal. Very much was automated stuff, but I think I at least understand the basics, and I use Ubuntu every day as my daily driver. So hopefully I have the basic experience that we need here. We'll go ahead and give it a shot and see how it goes. Make sure I'm not missing anything in chat. Zemer said, thank you, I need an audiobook. Yeah, if anyone's having trouble sleeping tonight, just turn on my stream in the background and my voice will let you drift off to sleep. All right, investigation setup. Securing the environment. We have some SSH creds, blah, blah, blah. All right, to offer a hands-on approach to performing a live investigation, we have been tasked by Penguin Court to perform file system and OS analysis on a Linux-based web server during a suspected breach. This investigation's urgency stems from identifying a potential file upload vulnerability within the web server. Hey, fun story. The first time I ever got full RCE on a real web app pen test was this exact thing. I was able to bypass a weird file upload restriction and got full RCE web shell on a Linux web server, out of all things, creating a path for remote attackers to execute arbitrary commands and gain unauthorized access. By analyzing the artifacts left over and reconstructing the timeline events through file system analysis, we intend to provide Penguin Corp with a clear understanding of the extent and nature of the compromise. And I haven't even connected to the VPN. So let me cd to download, sudo OpenVPN, Tenebrae something, too many VPNs. I think it is this one. Hope it works. All right, beautiful. We are on, and we'll open a new terminal. We'll just call it terminal, and we'll cd to Tyler, try hack me. We'll make a directory for Linux forensics, just in case we have any files we get to download. And let's go ahead and SSH in. Now, if you're new to Linux, SSH is secure shell. What it does, it gives us a command line terminal to interact with the remote computer. So if you want to get into IT, you should know SSH. You will be using it all the time for system administration, patching type things, and for example here, forensics. So we'll go ahead and grab this. It's pretty easy to understand, but don't want to assume everyone knows what's going on here. So SSH is what we're doing. Investigator is our username, and the IP is the remote machine we're connecting to. Your IP will be different, whatever the IP of your machine is, and then we'll be prompted for a login. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. We'll type yes, and we'll go ahead and grab our password, which is very secure. Try hack me 123 exclamation mark. Oh, that's cool. I hit the wrong key on my keyboard. Good job, Tyler, you noob. All right, we have SSH access. Beautiful. So securing the environment. While we perform live forensic analysis on the system, it's important to note that in this assumed scenario, we have already acquired all necessary backups and have isolated the system from the network to prevent further compromise or tampering, and that is important. So that's something you would do ahead of time. Often what people initially think, like when you have a compromised host, people's first reaction is to shut the host down. You don't want to do that. You do want to isolate it from the network, but you never want to shut off a host like this, because you will lose things that might be stored in the RAM or the random access memory that's only there while the system is on. And by shutting it off, you might lose valuable data. So what the room author is telling us, hey, this has already been done, and here we are. As this is a potentially compromised host, it's a good idea to ensure we are using known good binaries and libraries to conduct our information gathering and analysis. And often you'll also have a chain of evidence. I can't think of the word, but you are very clear about what you have done and not done to a host. In the chance it ever goes to a courtroom, you need to be very careful with that. What's that word called? Chain of custody? Is that what it is? Anyways, often this can be done by mounting a USB or drive containing binaries from a clean Debian-based installation. This has been simulated on the attached VM by copying the bin, sbin, lib, and lib64 folders from a clean installation in the mount USB mount on the affected system. Okay, so we have our tools there, some of the things that we'll be working with. Note, the following steps should be performed after establishing an SSH connection to the target machine, not on the attack box. So not on your host machine. Yeah, Neffels, chain of custody. Thank you, my friend. And malware cube. Good. Y'all had it. I appreciate it. Josie said, your thought process is very helpful for a beginner like me. Thank you, man. Hey, happy to be able to help. So this effort aims to mitigate the risk of inadvertently executing malicious code or compromised utilities on systems. Suppose an attacker gains private access to a system. In that case, they may replace or alter existing utilities with malicious binaries or libraries that could cause further harm when run by an unsuspecting investigator. By using a trusted source, it enhances the reliability and integrity of our investigation. We can modify our path and LD library path environment variables to use these trusted binaries. So let me explain what is going on here. Instead of using the binaries on our machine, so this is our, affected VM right here. What it is saying is, hey, some of these binaries like LS and such, those might be affected with malware. You can't trust what is on this machine. Maybe they got root access and they modified those things. We know that whatever's in mount USB are trusted because it's our mounted USB drive. We know that it's safe. So we're just changing our paths. So every time we execute some of those common binaries, it's going to use the safe ones from our mount path instead of what might have been affected by the attackers. Let's go ahead and run those commands. I'm copying them, And in terminal, in order to paste in a terminal, once again, just want to make this easy for beginners to follow, it's Control-Shift-V. It's not just Control-V, it's Control-Shift-V, or you can right-click paste selection. So Control-Shift-V, and that pastes it in. There we go. And now, answer the question below. After updating the path and LD library path environmental variables, run the command check environment. What is the flag that is returned in the output? So we'll do that. And there is our flag. So we'll go ahead and copy that. Once again, a copy from your terminal, it's not just Control-C, it's Control-Shift-C, or you can right-click and do copy. So Control-Shift-C, and we'll go over here and paste it in. Beautiful. Drink of water, make sure I'm not missing anything in chat. Refresh LinkedIn so it doesn't show me chat. Chris Whitlock said, I kind of miss the early 2000 websites. I'm with you, my friend. Default Sex said, love the new THM design. I agree, yo. Hats off, TryHackMe. I love this new design for the rooms. It's just so much cleaner would be the best way to put it. And it wasn't even bad before, but I just like it. They did a good job on it. File permissions and timestamps, identifying the foothold. During our initial briefing with Penguin Corp, we learned that Penguin Corp's web server is susceptible to a file upload vulnerability, leading to an attacker gaining root access to the system. To start our investigation, we need to be able to explore the file system effectively. To identify clues that the file upload feature was exploited, we should focus our search on the web directories and review the uploaded files on the server. First, navigate to the web directory and run lsal to list out all files. So I want to kind of look at some of these myself, and then we'll keep going. So cd var html. Now, if you're once again new to Linux, this generally is the typical spot for the root directory for a web server. You can kind of see it in the HTML. And so when you go to a website, usually the first file is index.html, and that is in the web root. So if we think this is vulnerable to a upload thing or an upload vulnerability, the affected files may be served or stored in the uploads directory here. We can also just look at like what was this website. So if we cat index.html, oh, this is just the basic Ubuntu stuff here. So nothing really interesting there. Let's go over to uploads, lsll. And okay, I see what was going on here. So we have these JPEG files, but we have an interesting file here called PHTML. Now, this is actually a common thing I check when I'm doing a pen test. If there's a spot that allows file uploads, what they will often do, and maybe if I pull up my notepad, I'll make some like ghetto notes here. So what companies will sometimes do is they'll make a block list or a blacklist, a block list or a deny list, whatever you want to call it, saying, hey, these file extensions cannot be uploaded. So they'll say, hey, you cannot upload .php files, you cannot upload HTML files, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with the block list is if you don't include every single file on here, an attacker might upload something like .phtml, which isn't a common file format, but .phtml can actually execute PHP code, which could give you a shell on the system, which I'm guessing that is what happened if we cat this out. Instead, the proper way to do this is to use an allow list of files, which means, hey, if the file type is not on our allow list, then deny everything else. So it'd say, hey, on our allow list, we might have JPEG, we might have JP, we might have PNG, and it says, hey, anything that's not above here, deny all. And this would prevent some of these file upload vulnerabilities by having this. I'm guessing this file upload form here had a block list and it did not block the PHTML. So if we cat this out, I bet this is going to be our entry point for our attacker. Let me see if my memory is correct. And it is. So we can see a very basic PHP shell here. So then the attacker can pass a command variable to it and get full command injection. There's also some settings in your PHP settings that you can disable this from happening. So the whole concept of defense in depth is what we need to keep in mind from the perspective of an attacker. But let's go back to here. I'm sure I'm getting ahead of myself. And Shanzi over on Twitch said, would you mind if I have coworkers that are in the process of learning these concepts if I point them your direction as a new learning tool? Yeah, please do send them over to me. I even do one-on-one coaching with people without charging a bunch of money. I do one-on-one coaching at a donate what you can charge, and it's not even giving me money. I ask people to donate what you can to a nonprofit of your choice, and happy to do a 30-minute one-on-one coaching with people to go over tools or mock interviews or just learning. So yeah, feel free to put them my way. Happy to help. So from the directory structure, it appears that the uploads directory will contain what we're hunting for, which I found this. Upon examination, it is evident that many files with seemingly random names, including JPEGs, are present. Additionally, note that these files are all owned by www.data. To focus on potential non-images files, we can use grep. I've just found it by looking at it. The V option in the grep command negates the pattern displaying files that do not have the .jpeg extension. This allows us to identify and prioritize files with different extensions, such as PHP, that may require further investigation, which I already found myself. Viewing the contents of this suggests evidence of malicious web shell, confirming our assumptions. I respect the way you're at P-Town. What's up, Sean? So you must know me. You must know who I am in IRL. Hey, thanks for hanging out here. I appreciate it. All right, from the above analysis, it appears the attacker uploaded a .phtml document to execute PHP code on the server due to the unsafe system call in the PHP code. This file allows the execution of arbitrary commands on the system remotely. The attacker likely exploited this to establish a more stable connection from the web server to their system. After identifying the uploaded file that led to the foothold, it is now a good idea to look into the web server logs to correlate the request and gain more insights into the attack. Web server logs such as Apache or Nginx logs can provide valuable information about the attacker's activities, request patterns, and origin. This type of log analysis will be covered within Room 4 logs, which is coming soon. Ownership and permissions. What is P-Town? It's a secret. That's what P-Town is. All right, ownership and permissions. File ownership and permissions are critical aspects of system security. As we identified previously, the attacker achieved RCE on the server by uploading a malicious web shell. We also determined that www.data user owned the file, which typically represents the user account associated with the web server process. As such, we should investigate additional activity in files owned by www.data to determine what the attacker may have done with their newfound access. Attackers often target directories and write permissions to upload malicious files. Common writable directories include temp, which is what I use on CTFs all the time, var temp, another temp directory, and devshim, the shared memory file system. It is a good idea to run lsal commands to list all files in these directories and investigate any suspicious files or changes. Now, the reason for this, once again, if you're new, is it shows hidden files. So I can even show you this on the command line. If we echo hello to .secret, oh, do I not have permission? All right, let me do it to temp. Echo hello to .secret. If I just do ls, you'll see that, hey, you can't see my secret file because ls doesn't show hidden files and hidden directories. The dot before the file name makes it hidden. So just if I'm looking for a file ls, it is not there. Instead, we have to do lsla, and then it will show all files, and we can see our secret file right there. So that's the importance of doing that ls, al, or la. The order of the a and the l don't matter. So what we are doing here, if I can break this command down for us, we're running the find command, which is just a Linux binary. You can think about on a Windows computer when you do the search function on the Windows key. That's kind of what find is on Linux in the command line. So we're doing find, and then the slash right here means, hey, starting from the root directory, it just means search everything on the computer is what that slash is. And then, hey, we want you to search everything on the computer that's owned by this user, because remember, these files are written by www.data, common user for a web shell or just web servers, and the type is files. So any files here, and then this is kind of confusing. This just means any error messages, just make go away. We don't want to fill our screen with error messages, and piping it to less allows us to easily kind of go through the file, so it's not one massive screen. We can go through it and see it a little easier. So we'll go ahead and copy this command, and we'll paste it in. There we go. So we see, this is interesting, we have reverse.elf. Now, once again, kind of confusing format. .elf makes you think of Santa Claus and Christmas, but .elf is actually a Linux binary executable. So if you think of .exe for Windows, .elf is kind of the equivalent for Linux. So that's something we want to dig into. This means they got a reverse shell on our system and got full command line access, and they upload it to assets. We can keep scrolling through here. We have the PHTML, upload.php. So this stands out from the attacker, and this reverse.elf stands out from the attacker. We could probably get, if I copy this right here, if I cat this file, oh, that's not what I meant to do. I could have swore I copied that other file. Okay, whatever. Get out of there. CD to var. I think it was assets, right? Yeah, now if we cat this out. Oh, that's right. That won't work. If we strings it out. Is it base 64 encoded? I was thinking maybe we'd be able to see the IP, but let's keep going. I'm probably getting ahead of myself. All right, the above command lists all files, blah, blah, blah. Already kind of read through that. The output of the command, we notice several benign entries. However, one that sticks out is reverse.elf listed there. By listing out the file in more detail, we can see the file permissions indicate the file is executable by all users as characterized by the X bit. And you can actually see that in the color difference as well. This color means it's executable, but we can also see the X here, right? So it's executable by the owner, it's executable by anyone in the owner's group, and it's executable by any other user on the computer. Those are the three groups there, and that is what that X bit means, that it is executable. Before we investigate the reverse.elf file further, there are several other useful find commands that can be used to pull particular files during an investigation. So here we can retrieve a list of files and directories owned by a specific group. This, and you can kind of see, we've already walked through the find command, right? Find everywhere on the computer anything owned by whatever our target group is. This will retrieve a list of all world writable files and directories. So maybe they modify some things to make them world writable. That would be an interesting thing to find. And here's a list of files created or changed within the last 5 minutes. Now, this is important because it could be the attacker set up some type of persistence on the victim machine. Maybe they have a script that's making modifications to the file system on a regular basis. If we see the files being modified within the last 5 minutes, we might be able to notify that. Notice that each command is followed by that, which I kind of shared before, to clean up the output by suppressing any error messages. Metadata. Metadata refers to the embedded information that describes files, which provides insights into a file's characteristics, origins, and attributes. It can include various types of information, such as file creation dates, author details, composition, and file types. When performing live analysis on a system, metadata can be highly useful in determining the origin and modification timestamps, and in some cases, author details of specific files. xftool is a Perl-based command line utility with extensive capabilities for extracting and altering metadata from files by parsing their headers and embedded metadata structures. For example, we can analyze the metadata of the suspicious reverse.elf file by running the following command. Okay, so we can see the file size. Here's what would be really interesting for us in an investigation. When it was modified, access, and inode. Modified and access are especially important because we can see, hey, when was this uploaded? How long has a threat actor had access to our system? As seen, blah, blah. Okay, analyzing checksums. Checksums are unique values generated from data using cryptographic hash functions such as MD5 or SHA-256. Drink of water. These functions provide fixed-size strings of characters representing the data so that even a minor change in the data will result in significant different checksum. Checksums are often used for data integrity verification, ensuring that data has not been altered or corrupted. For an incident responder, they can also be used to identify malicious files and executables based on known signatures. You can actually upload this to VirusTotal. We can leverage two useful checksum utilities to inspect the hashes we identified previously. We can run both MD5 sum and SHA-256 sum on the file to output its hash. So let's go ahead and do that. I can do it myself. So that, and then SHA-256, there we go. Once we've obtained the hash values, we can submit them to a malware detection, just like I was saying, VirusTotal. Upon doing so, we will find evidence of various vendors flagging this file as a Meterpreter reverse shell payload. The quick analysis suggests the attacker placed and executed the file using their initial RCE to achieve an interactive reverse shell connection to a web server. But let's go ahead and do this ourselves. We'll go ahead and grab the MD5 because I think that is what VirusTotal generally asks for. We can go to search and we can drop in a hash right here. And yeah, I would say it is malicious. So 34 security vendors and 1 sandbox flag this as malicious. And let's go ahead and see if we can understand what's going on here. We have our details. It is a Linux executable like I shared before. We have our first submission, our last analysis. Can we look at behavior? Here we go. So what does it actually do? Well, we have some IP traffic here. And so it would appear, now this is the only part of the machine that really isn't real world because this is a private IP address. Generally, if they had RCE from the internet and uploaded a shell, we would expect to see a public IP address here. But because, of course, it's a lab environment, we do see a private IP. But this is likely the IP of our attacker user, and they were listening on port 4444. Files open, files created. There's our IP again there, which you can even see it's labeled as C2. So this is our command and control server. That is our attacker that is coming after us, which would be good information to know. What community? Okay, so Thor APT scanner, a Yara signature match. What is most interesting to me is just the IP traffic. We can see the network communication the threat actor is using here. Timestamps. Timestamps are additional pieces of metadata associated with files or events that indicate when a particular action occurred. Timestamps are one of the most essential aspects for tracking the creation, modification, and access times of files and directories in incident response and forensic activities. These timestamps are invaluable in forensic investigations as they provide essential clues about the sequence of events and the actions performed on a system and help establish a timeline. In Unix-based systems, 3 main timestamps are commonly recorded. We have the modified timestamp. This reflects the last time the contents of a file were modified or altered. Whenever a file is written to or changed, its M-time is updated. We have the change time or C-time. This indicates the last time a file's metadata was changed. Metadata includes attributes like permissions, ownership of the file name itself. Whenever any metadata associated with the file changes, its C-time is updated. And finally, access time. This timestamp indicates the last time a file was accessed or read. Whenever a file is open, its A-time is updated. We can easily view the modified time of a file by running the following command. So just LSL, and we can see the modified time. We'll go ahead and do each one of these things just for good practice. Let's just L, reverse shell, and we can see it right here. All right, and if we want to view the change timestamp, it's just LC. So we can do LC. There we go. So we can see a little bit difference there, and that's the change time. So that's when the metadata was changed. And finally, the access timestamp, we can see the last time the file was accessed with LU, which would be helpful in an event like this. And there we go. Well, that would be, that's me accessing it. All right, as mentioned, a file's access timestamp can be easily and inadvertently updated as we perform investigative actions. When we viewed the metadata using XFTool or analyzed its checksums with MD5 or SHA, we perform read actions on reverse.elf, thus altering its access time. This is an important concept to consider with live forensic analysis, which is why it's crucial to obtain forensically sound backups and copies of the affected system beforehand. Because of this, the A-time will not be a reliable metric for us. Looking over at chat, Jacob said, which one is this I just got here? It's the newest machine by TryHackMe. So if you just look at the latest machine, it is Linux File System Analysis. You can see it up here. Linux File System Analysis is the name of the room. All right, while it's useful to recall the 3 commands above, we can also leverage the stat command to quickly see all timestamps at once. There we go. Access, modify, and change. And apparently you can see its date of birth. Answer the questions below. To practice your skills with the find command, locate all the files that the user Bob created in the past minute. Once found, review its content. What is the flag you receive? I need a drink of water. All right, well, if we scroll back up, the nice thing about Try Hack Me rooms is they're not generally going to throw you for a trick, and it explained to us how to do this. So we want a list of files created or changed within the last 5 minutes. So we're going to take something similar to this command. We'll step it up here. So it's going to be similar to that command, but not quite, because remember, we want specific files that are owned or modified by a specific user. So we want a command similar to this. So we kind of want to combine our commands. So to do that, we'll say, hey, we want you to find every file throughout the whole computer. So without the root, in the root directory owned by the user Bob, that is a file that's changed within the past, I think, is it minute? We'll just do 5 minutes because it should show up. And then we'll send any errors to dev/null. I think that would be the correct syntax. Let's see if I am right. Okay, never mind. Oh, I should go like that. Do. What? Find everywhere user Bob. What can I just do? This first command. Oh, why am I doing it twice? That might be my issue. Let me give this a shot. Okay. So now we just need to change that to Bob. And if we do it, if we add the timestamp on there of the cmin, we'll just do 5. Like that. Do I have to do 1 minute maybe? There it is. So that is our syntax right there. And we go ahead and grab this and we'll cat it out. And there is our first flag. Beautiful. And we'll do that. Extract the metadata from the reverse.elf. What is the file's MIME type? And remember, we can do that with the exfil tool. If I can type. Oh, not exfil. I'm blanking now on the name of the tool. Exif tool is what I'm trying to think. Exif tool, reverse.elf. And there we go. And our MIME type is right here. That's going to be the answer to that question. So we'll copy that. Oops. If I could learn how to use a terminal. And we'll drop that information down there. And run the stat command against the Etsy host file in the compromised web server. What is the full modified timestamp of the value? The full modified timestamp, I think, would be this whole thing right here. Boom. There we go. Oh, and Twitch is yelling at me about the stuff I missed. Yeah, I realize I missed it, but I eventually got it. All right, users and groups. Let's keep going. Hey, Tyler, I know you're probably busy, but I want to check in about my career message on Discord. Did you send me a message, my friend? Let me check. I don't know if I have a message from you. At least I don't know your Discord name. We may not be friends, though, and it may have gone on my message request. If you're in the works... Oh, hi. Interested in one-on-one career coaching, go to the Work Smarter Discord and go to the announcements and just scroll up or look at the pinned thing and you'll see my calendar there. All right, users and groups. As we continue our investigation, we should focus on the system's users and groups. In doing so, we may uncover evidence of the attacker moving laterally or maintaining access throughout the system by exploiting additional vulnerabilities. Identifying user accounts. Within Unix-like systems, the Etsy directory is a central location that stores configuration files and system-wide settings. Specifically, when investigating user accounts, Etsy password is a colon-separated plain text file that contains a list of the system's accounts and their attributes. One of the first things you check on a CTF, and the login shell defined for each user. So we can go ahead and look at that ourselves. So, can anyone spot the back door? I'll give you a chance to look at it yourself. Right? Backdoored. And then we have our investigator, Jane Bob. But backdoored, that looks like a suspicious user, if you ask me. All right, attackers can gain access to a system by creating a backdoor user with root permissions. We can leverage the cut and grep commands to identify this type of user account backdoor quickly. The following command extracts and displays all user accounts with a user ID of 0. The presence of a user with UID 0 other than legitimate root user can quickly suggest a potential backdoor account. We also just looked at it, but maybe I can walk through this command for us a little bit. So the first thing we're doing is cat Etsy password, which we already did here, right? Cat Etsy password. But then we're adding a few commands to it. So there is actually a really good room in Admin of Cyber, I think on log analysis, that goes through the cut command and explains a little bit about what is going on here. But if we look at this, we're going to pipe this over, and we're going to use the cut command. And the first thing you do on the cut command is you specify your delimiter, or what is separating the different fields. Now, if we look at the users here, if we use, for example, this as the delimiter, we have it here. So it would be, this would be field 1, this would be field 2, this would be field 3, this would be field 4, and etc. And so if we cut it by that, the information that we want is any user's name that has a 0 showing that they have root permissions. So we can specify our fields, and I already said this would be field 1. So we want to get, hey, field 1 because that's the username. And we also want to get field 3 because 1, 2, 3, the 0 is in field 3. And if we just do that command there, you can see, hey, we're getting, well, actually, that's not going to work too great for us because it's going to give us any user that has the 0 in it. But if we switch that over and pipe it again to grep, like they are doing, we can do this, 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 and see if that works a little bit better. And it does. So then we're using rejects in order to pull out just the ones that have just the 0 there. We can see 2 users, root and backdoored, and that's one way. If we didn't just know that the name was backdoored, we now know that we have a backdoored user, a user that shouldn't have root permissions. All right, I think I kind of explained this. All right, identifying groups. So for further investigation, we can take a look at groups. In Linux systems, certain groups grant specific privileges that attackers may target to escalate their privileges. And you'll even notice this. So if you do a CTF, one of the first things you check is what groups am I in? Because if I'm in certain groups, like admin, I've seen this before, you can read log files and you might be able to get creds that way. Some important Linux groups that might be of interest to an attacker include sudo or wheel. Members of the sudo or wheel group have the authority to execute commands with elevated privs using sudo. The admin group typically has read access to system log files. The shadow group is related to managing user authentication and password information. With this membership, a user can read Etsy's shadow file, which contains the password hashes of all users on the system, which I know is confusing for those who are new. You would think the file called Etsy password would contain the passwords. And back in the old days of Unix and Linux, that is actually where passwords were stored, but now they are not stored there for obvious security reasons. Instead, they're stored in Etsy shadow, which only certain users would have permission to read. And it's not the clear text passwords, the hash. And disk. Members of the disk group have almost unrestricted read and limited write access inside the system. We can view all the groups and their respective IDs by reading the Etsy group file. What? Yeah, there we go. So I was thinking I was doing Etsy password again, but we can see our groups, right? We can see our root group. We can see our admin group. So who's a member of that? Syslog, Ubuntu, and Investigator. That all seems normal, right? Ubuntu Investigator, Ubuntu Investigator, Ubuntu Investigator. So all of that seems correct. Backdoor gave themselves their own group. What does wheel do? Wheel would have the same permissions as sudo, right? They can do elevated commands. To determine which groups a user is a member of, we can do groups and then the user. So groups investigator, or groups Bob, or groups this account. They're in the root group. To list all the users in the sudo group, we can provide either the name sudo or the group ID, typically 27. Ubuntu and us. User logs and activities. Checking user logins and activity is valuable for performing a real-time analysis of a compromised system. Fortunately, a couple of useful utilities and logs can assist us. So we have last and lastb. The last command is an excellent tool for examining user logins and sessions. It is used to display the history of the last logged in users. It works by reading the var log wtemp file, which is a file that contains every login and logout activity on the system. Similarly, lastb specifically tracks failed login attempts by reading the contents of var log btemp, which can help identify login and password attacks. So let's go ahead and look at this. So we can see this is the every login and logout activity on the system. We have our investigator, Jane, root, reboot, root, blah, blah. Let's do lastb. So these are failed logins. Okay, so sudo lastb. Try hack me 123. Oh, if I could know how to type, that would be a good starting point. There we go. We don't have too many failed login attempts. Any. Unlike the last command, which provides information about all users' logins, the last log command focuses on the user's most recent login activity and recent var log last log. All right. All right, so we can see like investigator, Jane, etc. Backdoor never logged in, so that's a good thing that they never logged in, right? Failed login attempts. In addition to lastb, there are other ways to view failed login attempts on Linux through specific log files. The var log auth log file, or var log secure, contains records of authentication-related events, including both successful and failed login attempts. There you go. The who command is a very straightforward command that can be used to display the users that are currently logged into the system. The helpful in King of the Hill when you're playing Try Hack Me. The output of this command can provide details such as the name of the user logged in, the terminal device used, the time that the session was established, idle activity, blah, blah. Include details such as initial command used to start the session. That's me. The etc sudoers file is a particularly sensitive config file within Unix file systems. It determines which users have superhuman pseudo privileges, enabling to execute commands as other users, typically the root user. As a result, can be a target for attackers seeking persistence. For instance, if an attacker could find a way to insert their user account or one that they control into the sudoers file, they could grant themselves elevated privileges without requiring authentication. Alternatively, they may alter existing entries to broaden their access. For example, a line may look like this, and we can go ahead and look at it ourselves. Right, and we have Jane. Jane can do all on user bin PS3. More specifically, this line specifies Richard is the username being granted pseudo privileges. All indicate the privilege applies to all hosts. And this is the path to the specific binary. In this case, the ifconfig utility, and in this case, the user bin PS3 utility. With this configuration, Richard can execute ifconfig with elevated pseudo privileges and manage network interfaces as necessary. All right, investigate the user accounts on the system. What is the name of the backdoor account that the attacker created? Well, that is the backdoor. Do I still have it copy and pasted? No, I don't. So we can cat etc password, and we can see that right here. If I can copy it, there we go. what is the name of the group with the group ID 46? And we can do that similar command that we did up above, but 46. Oh, numlock's not on. There we go. And that is plugdev. View the etc subdoers file in the operating system. What is the full path of the binary that Jane can run as sudo, which we were just looking at that. It's right here. All right. Task 5, user directories and files. Another drink of water. Make sure I'm not missing anything in chat. Few people on LinkedIn. What up? All of you on LinkedIn. Appreciate you hanging out. All right. In the previous task, we identified a backdoor account that the attacker created and gained access to. However, we should take a step back and determine how the attacker got the privileges to create that account in the first place. To expand our investigation into the system's users and groups, we should also look into each user's personal directory, files, history, and configurations. So, user home directories. User home directories in Linux contain personalized settings, configs, and user-specific data. CTF tip, as soon as you get access to a machine as a user, you should always check their bash history and SSH keys. And I'm sure that's what we'll do here as the investigator, but you do that as the attacker as well. These directories are typically located in the home directory and are named after the corresponding usernames on the system. Recall, view, and etc password, blah, blah. So we can list out, I'll show it to you. We'll cd home ls. So we have Bob, investigator, Jane, Ubuntu. Make sure there's nothing hidden, and there isn't. To list out the hidden files within Jane's directory, we can do lsa home Jane, right? I'm already in home. And like I said, bash history would be a good place to look into, SSH, things like that. Some common files that be of interest is bash history. This file contains a user's command history and can be used to show previous commands executed by the user. And bash rc, these are configuration files used to customize the user bash shell session and login environment respectively. And actually, one fun Azure fact here for you all is in Azure, you have the possibility to spawn a cloud shell, and any user with contributor access can read those cloud shells based on default configuration, and you can actually download the cloudshell.image and write to a user's bash rc file, re-upload it, and the next time they launch their cloud shell, you can actually get a reverse shell as that user as a form of persistence and initial access to an Azure environment, or the more privilege escalation and lateral movement. You already have access to the Azure environment. Additionally, we can look at other files and directories of interest like browser profiles in the SSH directory. The SSH directory is a susceptible area containing configurations and key files related to SSH connections. The authorized keys file, which I use on CTFs all the time, is critical because it lists public keys allowed to connect to a user's account over SSH, which means an attacker might echo their public key there. If a malicious user gains unauthorized access, they can add their public key, which if you guys have watched me do CTFs, I do this all the time. So let's go ahead and check that out, because Jane had those pseudo privileges. The attacker probably gained access to Jane and then got those, used GTFO bins on that PS tree file and broke out. And there we can see our backdoor public SSH key, so they could SSH in as Jane. Let's view the file, see if we can identify any unintended authorized public keys, which we can. Notice there are two entries. The first belongs to Jane, as signified by the ending comment. However, the second entry appears to be related to an entirely different key pair with the comment backdoor. The attacker was likely able to edit this file and append their own public key, allowing them SSH access as Jane. We can further confirm this by returning to the stat command by running on the file. We can see it was last modified around a similar time frame when we confirm the attacker gained an initial foothold to the system. And yep, that 213. If we look back to the output of the lsla command, we can identify the permission misconfigurations that made this possible. Oh, wow. So the authorized keys file is readable and writable by any user. So even if they got access as www data, they have write permissions to authorized keys. They could very easily echo their key in that way. Blah, blah. View Jane's bash history file. What is the flag we see in the input? So the way we will do that is we'll do lsla, and we can see the bash history. So we'll do cat bash underscore history. And we'll do sudo su, because YOLO, I'll be root. Now we'll do it. And then it doesn't tell me permission failed. And we can actually read through this. So they did who am I? Once the threat actor gained access, they checked groups. They went to the user's home directory and find permissions. They're looking for any interesting permissions. I think sticky bit permissions. And it looks like Python had the sticky bit on, and they were able to abuse that to get root access, and then they added their backdoor user, blah, blah, blah. So we're tracking down the threat actor. What is the hidden flag in Bob's home directory? Bob's hiding stuff. It's always Bob, y'all. Well, we can see it's this one right here because that's the only one that has any files. There it is. I'll show you another way we could do that. See if if I remember the syntax. So if we do like grep, we could do grep dash grep here, like in the current directory, dash I to ignore case sensitivity, dash R for recursive, and we could search for THM. I don't know if this will work or not. Oh, maybe what I'm thinking in my head doesn't work. Do we have to cat it out first? No, I'm not even going to mess with it. All right, run the stat command on Jane's authorized key. What is the full timestamp? Oh, grep IIR. Is that what I'm trying to do? Thanks, bro. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Thank you. I was close. I was just separating them out. I was trying to do grep. I think just grep I and dash R THM would also work. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to do. If you do I R like that, it will like find the file and print the flag for us, since we know the flag begins with THM. So that's another way that we could have found the flag if we didn't just notice the different file sizes. Run stat on Jane's authorized stuff. All right. And the full timestamp of the most recent modification is this one right here. Grab that. All right. Guys, I still have this cold, sore throat. My throat's starting to kill me now after all this talking. But we're almost done. Binaries and executables. Hopefully I don't lose my voice. Another area to look at within our compromised host file system is identifying binaries and executables that the attacker may have created, altered, or exploited through permission misconfigurations. Identifying suspicious binaries. We can use the find command on Unix-based systems to discover all executable files within the file system quickly. So similar to what we did before, we're finding everywhere on the machine the type file and then executable, so executable files, and of course send any error messages to dev null. This is going to show a whole bunch of them, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yep. The following command recursively, blah, blah. Note that it provides a huge amount of output. As such, it's often a good idea to limit the scope through additional parameters. Once we identify an executable or binary that we want to investigate further, we can perform metadata analysis as we've done previously, performing integrity checking on it using checksums or inspecting its human-readable strings and raw content. Strings, which you guys actually saw me use on the reverse.l file at first. The strings command is valuable for extracting human-readable strings from binary files. These strings can sometimes include function names, variable names, and even plain text messages embedded within the binary. Analyzing this information can help responders determine what the binary is used for and if there is any potential malicious activity involved. To run the strings on a command on a file, we need to provide the file as a single argument. So if we go back, couldn't actually see anything there. But if we went to var HTML assets, there's a reverse.elf. That's what I was trying to run strings on that, because sometimes you can see human readable content there, but it looks quite encoded. Debsums. Like the integrity checking we performed earlier, Debsums is a command line utility for Debian-based Linux systems that verifies the integrity of installed packages. Debsums automatically compares the MD5 checksums of files installed from Debian packages against the known checksums stored in the package's metadata. If any files have been modified or corrupted, Debsums will report them, which would be helpful if an attacker is modifying them. This can be, just like I said, we can perform this check on the compromised system by running the following command. So the change files is epsi sudoers from the sudo packages. And the above command will provide the E flag to only perform a configuration file check. In addition, provide the S flag to silence any error output that may fill the screen. I'm guessing that's going to be one of the flags, but we'll come back to it. Binary permissions. Set UID and set GID are special permission bits in Unix OS. These permission bits change the behavior of executable files, which is kind of what I saw on the Python. It looks like it's set for Python anyways based on what they did to Jane's account, allowing them to run with the privileges of the file owner or group rather than the privileges of the user executes the file. If a binary executable on the system is misconfigured with the sudo or SGI permission set, an attacker may abuse a binary to break out a restricted unprivileged shell through legitimate but unintended use of that binary. For example, if the PHP binary contained a sudo bit to run as root, it's trivial for an attacker to abuse it to run system commands through PHP system exec function as root. Same with Python. Identify and set UID binaries on a Linux system involves examining the file permissions or running limpis and explicitly looking for executables with the set UID bit set. We can return to the find command to retrieve a list of set UID binaries on the system. Something you do, once again, on a Linux CTF. This is a good command to run when you get initial access, because if you see things such as Python and such like that, it's a very easy way to get privesc pulled out. Specifically, the above command looks for files where the user permission has a suid bit set. Much of the output here is expected as these binaries require the suid bit and are not vulnerable. However, two of these results stand out. Firstly, Python, like I was saying, should never be given suid permissions. It is trivial to escalate privileges to the owner, which is actually what we saw in Jane's bash history. Additionally, any suid binaries in the temp or var temp directories stand out, as these directories are typically writable by all users, and unauthorized creation of the suid binaries in these directories poses a notable risk. We can investigate further by looking in Jane's bash history for any commands related to Python or bash. Just remember, guys, we saw this just a little bit ago. I pointed it out when we looked at it just on our own, that I saw the suid bit seemed to be set for that because of how they were searching for it, and then they ran the Python to break out of the shell. From the output, we discovered evidence of Jane's user account identifying suid binaries with the find command and abusing the suid permissions on the Python binary to run system commands as the root user, specifically making that backdoor account, adding them to the root. With this level of command execution, the attacker was able to create a copy of the bin bash binary, place it into the var temp folder. Additionally, the attacker changed the owner of this file to root and added the suid permission to it. After making a suid copy of bin bash, the attacker elevated root by running var temp bash p. We can further verify the bash binary by performing an integrity check on the original, which is over in temp. Okay, so we can do that, and we'll see that it's different. At least we should. And if we look at this one, it's been modified. Run the debsums utility on the compromised host to check only configuration files, which file came back as altered. Remember, there's the etsy sudoers file, but I will do it again just for those who might be new and are following along. So we just have to copy that command, and since I'm running as root, I don't actually need sudo. But you can see there is our modified file. We'll copy that and paste that in for our answer. Run MD5 on the binary that the attacker created to escalate privileges to root, or what is the MD5? And that is this one right here. That was just the MD5 sum on the bash in var temp. Rootkits. A rootkit is a type of malicious set of tools or software designed to gain administrator-level control of a system while remaining undetected by the system or user. The term rootkit derives from root, the highest level user in Unix-based systems, and kit, which typically refers to a set of tools used to maintain this access. Rootkits are particularly dangerous because they can hide their presence on a system and allow attackers to maintain long-term access without detection. Attackers can also use them to stage other malicious activities on the target, exfiltrate sensitive info, or command and control the compromised system remotely. Fortunately, we can use automated tools on Unix-based systems to help detect and remove rootkits. So, Check Rootkit is a popular Unix-based utility used to examine the file system for rootkits. It operates as a simple shell script leveraging common Linux binaries like grep and strings that scan the core system programs to identify signatures. It can use the signatures from files, directories, and processes to compare the data and identify common patterns of known rootkits. As it does not perform an in-depth analysis, it is an excellent tool for a first-pass check to identify potential compromise, but it may not catch all types of rootkits. Additionally, modern rootkits might deliberately attempt to identify and target copies of the check rootkit program or adopt other strategies to evade its detection. We can access the check root on the compromised system using our mounted binaries. We can perform a simple root check by doing check rootkit. All right. I think that's our rootkit right there. The scan produces a large output, but it indicates the results of various checks known for rootkit-related patterns. And if we just copy that. Oh, that just echoes the findme.sh is just echoes to this. Okay, I got you. Rootkit Hunter is another helpful tool designed to detect and remove rootkits on a Unix-like OS. It offers a more comprehensive and feature-rich rootkit detection compared to Check Rootkit. Rootkit Hunter can compare SHA-1 hashes of core system files with known good ones in its database to search for common rootkit locations, wrong permissions, hidden files, and sus strings in kernel modules. It is an excellent choice for more comprehensive assessments of the affected system. Because Rootkit Hunter leverages a live database of known rootkit signatures, checking for database updates before running the field is crucial. Because this system is isolated, which means it doesn't have internet access, we won't be able to run a database update here, but the latest version was acquired before mounting our tools to the system. So to perform a simple scan, we'll run this command. So we're getting some warnings here. We'll go back to the room while this runs. This check will take some time to run, but we have bypassed the user interaction prompts with the SK argument. Afterwards, you'll receive a system check summary detailing what was found, and wonder if we need that for the flag. Run check rootkit on the affected system. What is the full path? That was temp var findme.sh, I think, going off memory. And I'm right. Run Rootkit Hunter on the affected system. What is the result of the UID 0 accounts check? Has it run that one yet? No. We might have to wait for that to run all the way through. In the meantime, there's actually some things I wanted to play around with. And what's our name? Investigator. And do we have netstat ANO? Is there any web servers actually running on here? So netstat is another thing I'm surprised I didn't talk about, but that's a way you can see, hey, is there any listening addresses? So we're just listening on port 5222. I wanted to see if I could open a web server and actually exploit this upload vulnerability, but I'm not sure how it's all set up. To at least show how this works, do we have what web server? And maybe it's not even installed. So we can actually look at, if we just do a Python simple web server, we should be able to look at the index.html. I'll try hack me 123. Okay, Python. And now, if we grab this IP here, so it is Apache 2. So this is actually the web server that's running. What is our directories here? The web shell and stuff won't work here because it's not going to pass it to Python. Oh, we do have Apache 2. Okay, sweet. I wonder if we can rehost this web server and like re-exploit it ourselves. Is this done yet? No, okay, that might take a little bit. I'll just play around while it does its thing. I don't even know the syntax though to launch it. Let's go to no, nothing's listed on port 80, Malware Cube. I don't think. Maybe it is. Is it actually alive on port 80? And I just didn't see it? Oh, shoot, it is. Oh, good call. So we can actually do this ourselves. Sweet. And I'm curious, like, if it was filtering any file. So if I try to upload, like, if I get something like a very obvious web shell here, I'm not even going to modify it. Can I upload it? Is there anything stopping me from uploading files on here? Because the attacker, it looked like they used .phtml. Did they even have to do that? Could they have just done something as simple as this? Oh, yeah. So then you could literally just use something like that. So if we go ahead and mousepad PHP reverse shell, we could actually perform this full attack, I think. Thank you for pointing out, Malware Cube. I must have missed that. We'll put in our IP of 10.13.46.224. We'll do port 1337 because we're elite hackers. We'll save that. And we'll just move it PHP and we'll just call it hacksmarter.php. We'll open up our listener on port 1337 and we'll go ahead and upload our reverse shell. All right, and now if I just go to upload directory hacksmarter.php. Okay. You see I have a shell as www-data. Oh, you created the room. That's funny. So you would know. That is awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out while I walk through your room. Really appreciate it. It's been fun. All right, and our rootkit thing is done. We'll come back to that. I want to go through the full attack path like I'm the attacker. So if we go over to our home and we go to Jane, remember we could echo to our authorized keys. So if I cat home Tyler SSH id.pub and I grab my public key right here, and if I echo that, I'm double appending it. A lot of people just do this, but you overwrite the file, and when you do that on shared machines, it pisses everybody off. Don't do it on the Red Team Capstone. All right, and we should see my public key in there. So now if I SSH as Jane at whatever this IP is, let me add 1 hour. I don't think it's going to die on us, but I'm actually use my key. There we go. So now if SSH is Jane, and now if we didn't know about the SUID bit stuff, I actually have it in my notes. Let me pull up my notes real quick. Go to Linux Privesc. I actually documented the Try Hack Me room on this. So if we go to my Try Hack Me notes and suidbit here, I think this will discover it. Well, I see the bash one right there. Where was the... Oh, am I looking for the wrong thing? Hold up. If we look at bash history, this was the command I see. And now we'll be able to find the Python one, I would think. Yo, am I blind? I must be blind. What? Malware Cube, was this like patched or fixed? Why do I not see this? If you're still here. Maybe, did the attacker like remove it? Like in this scenario? They found permissions, they realized Python had these permissions. But I'm personally not seeing it. We could check it. User bin Python 3.8. I don't think it. Maybe this part was just for the room, maybe? Okay, I'm not crazy. Malware Cube said that's weird. The suidbit somehow got reset. Okay, I'm not crazy. So I'm that part is like that. Whoops. But what the hacker did, or the attacker did, is they did what I was attempting to do, and they realized that the suidbit was set on Python 3.8. And one way we can check that, if we go to GTOF bins, we could say, hey, we have the suidbit set, and we have the suidbit set on Python. And there's a bunch of things that we could have done. Like here would have just given us a shell as the root user. We get a reverse shell, but what the heck is Jane's password? Do I have Jane's password? Can you abuse PS tree? If I had Jane's password, I could. Let me, Oh, is it Jane who even had those privileges? Yeah, there we go. So let's see if we can abuse PS tree and escape out. I'm curious. We're taking this room a step further. Oh, no. Okay, let's do, maybe we can figure out our own way to break out a PS tree. If we can run it, so it shows running process a tree, the tree is rooted at PID. Is there any way it can execute commands? I'm not sure if we can escape into root with PS tree. Someone knows how in chat, let me know. For now, let me just at least finish the room. Run RK Hunter on the affected system. What is the UID on the accounts? Where was I running this at? Oh, here it is. Wait, what's the question? What is the result of the UID 0 accounts check? Okay. I was probably going to say backdoor. Is it warning? There we go. All good, Malware Cube. All good, my friend. Hey, do want to say, like, yo, awesome room. Really, really enjoyed it. I think you did an excellent job explaining each thing, and each task is connected to the other one, so it doesn't feel like out of order. You did a really good job walking us through this, so thank you. Congratulations, we have made it to the end of this exploration into Linux file system forensic analysis. Our investigation covered several topics, including examining digital artifacts, system logs, users, and file structures. Remember, the analysis and identification of compromised system artifacts represents only one phase of the incident response process. The following rooms in the module expand on other equally crucial areas for performing live forensics on Unix-based systems in the field. Additionally, if you enjoyed exploring the methodologies of identifying system vulns and want more insight into hardening these systems, check out the Bulletproof Penguin room, which, yo, that room is a lot of fun. I have a video on the Bulletproof Penguin room. I believe I have one on YouTube. I know I did it. I think I recorded it. Really fun room. To test your skills on identifying persistent mechanisms, be sure to attempt this. I don't think I've done this challenge. Have I? No, I haven't. Oh, man. This looks like a fun room. When did this come out? Oh, it's not super old, like a year old. I'll have to check that room out too. All right, complete. And there we go. I've completed the room. Share it with my friends. You guys are my only friends, so you all know I have completed this room. We even have the author hanging out with us. We try to emulate the full attack path as the attacker. Unfortunately, the Linux system somehow patched itself and removed the suid bit from the Python system. But hey, we still got our web shell on there. We uploaded a file, upload PHP reverse shell, got access as an attacker, added our public key to Jane's key, SSH as Jane, and so we did part of the attack path, and it was fun either way. MalwareCube said, thanks for going through this. Forensics is much less flashy than hacking, but you make it engaging and fun to watch. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for creating this room and all the other content you create for TryHackMe. But hey, y'all, I flipped to the wrong thing. This is the end of this video for those of you watching on YouTube. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one. All right, y'all, now I'm just live with you guys, but my throat is killing me. I don't know how much longer I can talk, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do more challenges tonight. But thank you all for hanging out. If you do have any questions, happy to answer them. But otherwise, I'm going to sign off. It is also getting pretty late. I should probably go to bed eventually. I will be back tomorrow night. As long as my throat's okay and I can talk. Hi, cat. My cat wants to make an appearance. I'll say hi to the hacker cat. There he is. But I'll be on again tomorrow night. I think my plan for tomorrow is to do some more cloud hacking stuff. I have some challenges, AWS challenges I want to do for my own learning. And maybe we'll do some other TryHackMe stuff as well. There's a lot of, let me share my screen. There's a lot of new walkthrough rooms that I want to go through. Of course, you have HackSmart Security. Once again, if you haven't done that one. But there's a lot. If we go to Learn here, and is it Practice? I think it's Search, actually. Search and order by newest. Like these ones right here. I also want to do this Chrome one. I have a Windows VM we'll use for that, but like I've gotten behind on some of these TryHackMe ones. They did Moniker Link. So there's quite a few TryHackMe ones I want to get caught up on and do on stream. So we'll go through these. Show me your cat. I already showed you my cat, bro. He doesn't like it when I hold him like this. You want to say hi to everyone, kitty? Hi, I'm a hacking cat. There's my cat knows how to talk, y'all. Whenever I read TryHackMe now, I hear your voice in my head. That's amazing. Yo, MalwareCube, you tell the TryHackMe team that they can hire me and I'll just read the rooms for people. And then when you go, like, I'm telling y'all, how cool would this be? You go to a Try Hack Me room, right? And up here, there's like a play button that plays audio. And when you hit play on it, I just read the room to you. Like I'm like a screen reader for you for the Try Hack Me room. And that's all I do. You hit play up here, and then I read the room to you. And you can speed up or slow down my voice. Malware Cube, make it happen, dude. You tell Try Hack Me, hey, hire me part-time. And I'll be the audiobook for the Try Hack Me rooms. I'll just read the rooms. They can throw in the audio. There can be a play button up here for those who don't want to read it themselves. And it won't even be AI. I will read the room to them. They can speed it up, slow it down. I'm just coming up with ideas on the spot. Make it happen, dude. Drop it in Slack. Tell them. The Morgan Freeman of Try Hack Me. That would be really fun. That'd be really cool. And I can picture it. Like, you see this? There's a blank spot. You guys see this blank spot right here? We have title, target IP, expires, and audio. Audio button right here, and you hit play on it, and then I read you the room. That would be pretty neat, I think. And maybe they could have different people. Like you could have like the John Hammond rooms, although he probably costs way more than I do. You give me like a free subscription. Like, I don't know. Try Hack Me should give me a free sub by now, y'all. I've been sub for like 3 years, and I'm always making content, doing stuff for them. I still don't have a free sub. Just give me a free sub, and I'll be the audio reader for the Try Hack Me rooms. But okay, y'all. Do appreciate all you hanging out. I will hopefully catch you tomorrow night. We'll be back on here doing some fun hackery stuff. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.